Hello, I'd like to show you how to do stenciling. Now I've got a number of different stencils to show you that you can buy them in metal or plastic, or you can actually make your own out of parchment paper. So I've taken the stencils. I also need some masking tape. I've cut a few lengths of masking tape, palette knives and a selection of royal icing that's been coloured. So first of all I need to mask down my template. So if I show you this one here, it's some butterflies and I've got a board to demonstrate on. So take your masking tape and you tape down the stencil. Now stencils are really effective on cakes. You can put them on cakes, gatto work, sugar paste, royal icing. They're really effective, but very quick and simple to do. Now, one thing you do need to be aware of with making a stencil is that it lies flat. So I'm just checking that it's lying flat, so that it is not sticking up. If it's slightly raised from the board, what will happen, the royal icing will go underneath the stencil. It wouldn't work as well. Something else I could do with this stencil is I could mask off certain areas. So I could get those a different colour. So I'm going to do 2 butterflies one colour and 2 butterflies another colour. Okay, so you can see I'm going to do these 2 pink and these 2 purple, but I've masked this one off so my royal icing doesn't go over the other stencil. Okay, so I've masked off my stencil, and you can see I put some tape over the butterfly so that I don't get any royal icing onto that area. Now I've also, as well as holding the stencil down, this masking tape is also preventing me to get royal icing on the board. So I've got my royal icing and I've coloured it. Purple is piping consistency, and I've just put a small amount, and you can see it's only a tiny amount that you need when you're doing this work. So some on the palette knife, and I'm just going to spread the royal icing over the stencil, not worrying if it goes on my masking tape, because that would peel off. I'm going to use the palette knife, just a very thin amount, and just keep going backwards and forwards so that I can take off any royal icing, but going quite thin, because if I leave the royal icing on thickly, when I come to peel it off, it won't give me a very good effect. It looks lumpy. So I'm just taking that masking tape off that area that I covered, nice and carefully. I'm then going to use the palette knife for my next colour, the other butterflies, and again a small amount, really tiny amount. Okay, clean the palette knife, and I'm just going to wipe the palette knife before I do it, and it's just going to go across. And I'll keep going backwards and forwards, or just in one direction, until I can see that the stencil, the parts that are cut out are nice and smooth. And you can see there, I've got 2 shades of colour. Now, when you come to remove the stencil, you've just got to be very careful that you try not to lift the stencil up too early. You can see I'm just peeling off the masking tape. taken the masking tape off, take one corner and just lift it. Try and lift it without moving it. And you can see that's left me with my pattern. So nice and easy to do. I've got one here, which unfortunately you can't see very well, but I've taped it down. It's a sunflower. So I'm going to clean my palette knife again. Sunflowers are yellow usually, so I'm going to do a nice bright yellow. Again, not too much on your paintbrush, on your palette knife, and just be aware that I don't want that stencil to lift up. You can see the masking tape is doing a really good job. I'm not letting the royal icing go on the board. So once I've put a nice thin coat on it, clean my palette knife, and then I can take it off. Actually, I think I'll use a larger palette knife for this, because it's a larger area. And you take it off a few times until you're pleased with it. So as an example, I'm not sure how much you can see, but here's a few lines going over the stencil. Well, that's not suitable. I do want a nice covering. That's better. So again, lift up your stencil. There we go. And you've got your nice stencil left on. Now this works really well with lettering, so you can do lettering. Any patterns, this is something that you can put on a coffee cup and shake chocolate on for a cappuccino, so it leaves a stencil of the pattern behind. But when you've used your stencils, it's really important that you clean them well and look after them. So you gently take off the masking tape. You then pop it into some soapy water and just pat it dry. What you don't want to do is rub it or leave it at an angle. You want to keep these stencils flat.